Get after for 6 8 seconds. Guys, this is what we had to get. This ain't the one we want. You got that
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Laurel Leader Call Sports Show. I'm your host, Jack Fairchilds. And of course, as always, I'm joined alongside Kevan Lindsey and our good friend and yours, Josh Guru Nichols. Guys, before we get into the game recaps, there are a couple of news stories relating to high school athletics. You know, I think the biggest one in our area is West Jones head coach Corey Reynolds' decision to resign. So Josh, I know you've spoken with Coach Reynolds. Just kind of tell us what you know.
Basically, Corey has decided a personal decision to step down as the head coach at West Jones. He will remain on staff as continuous teaching duties as well as his athletic director duties through the remainder of the 25-26 school year, which all teachers for public schools in Mississippi, their contracts end on June 30th of 26. So that will be his actual final day there with West Jones. Really, you know, it's just strictly a personal decision of his. He just felt like there were other things he wanted to focus on, more so a lot to do with spending more time with his kids. Not opposed to taking another position if the right thing comes along, but I do know that he would like to stay as local as possible. His daughter will be attending Southern Miss in the fall, and he has a son that's still in high school at Petal for the next couple of years. So he don't want to have to, pack up and move to North Mississippi just to be continuing coaching. And, and he said if it's not in the cards, then he'll find something to do.
Yeah. It's kind of surprising. I don't think any of us saw this coming. I mean, Kevin, what was your reaction to the news?
Yeah, I was surprised. You see social media posts anytime a coach loses a game and things like that, and there's always people who are disgruntled, and of course you see that. We saw that with Laurel. We saw that with South Jones, and they lost one game after the North Pike loss. Right? You just see people just having opinions, but it was kind of shocking to me to hear about that and to see that he was in fact resigning. Wish Corey well. Really like him as more than just a coach, as a person. When I first met him, he was at Petal as offensive coordinator. Didn't really interact with him much, but whenever I was starting my journalist career and photojournalism career, he was there. And then when he came to South Jones, really got to know him more, and knowing just like him and his dad and things like that. I remember filming where he gave the game ball to his dad, who was battling illness, and just getting to know him from that aspect. It sucks. I think me and Guru we talked about it. It's hard for you as a journalist to come in and have a new football coach that you don't know, and trying to build that relationship with them. It's sometimes hard to do that and build that trust. So that's going to be interesting to see who West Jones hires.
Hopefully somebody we already know well.
Yeah. We've heard rumors. I don't know if we want to discuss them. I've heard rumors of people.
We can save the rumors for another episode. I think we'll keep the focus on Corey this time. And of course, this was my first year covering in the area. I hadn't covered high school sports really in 20 years. It'd been at least 20 years, probably over 20 years since the last time I'd covered high school football. And all of our coaches, here in the area, I really grew to enjoy their personalities, each and every single one of them. Corey was one of those that you always knew you could sit down and he'd have a smile on his face talking with you. And it just, it's sad to hear that he's stepping down, but if he's doing it because that's what he feels is the best thing for him and his family, then I'm happy for him, and that's the bottom line here. And we'll save speculation on who's next for next week's show.
For sure.
So, and of course, other news before we get to news that Guru's got pulled up. Kevin, you have some breaking news on a familiar face going to a new high school.
Yeah, our readers and people in the know will be familiar with Tony Vance. He coached at Heidelberg High School for several years, led them to a state championship, a couple of them actually, and most recently before he
Appearances.
Yes, appearances, and most recently before he retired, he coached with his son, who was the quarterback, and they went to the state championship, made an appearance there, and he retired, went to help coach, I believe, in Alabama, I think it was, but as of a couple hours ago, he was announced as new head coach of Meridian High School, was the head football coach. And while Meridian is not in our coverage area, that is a huge hire, I think, for Meridian. They've actually gotten a couple of big names in the past recent years. They had, of course, Marcus Boyles was there for a couple of years before he come back to Petal, and now you have Tony Vance. So really big news there, really big for Meridian High School.
Guru, what's your takeaway on that one? Anything you want to add?
No.
So
Don't care.
we will move on to other news because we talked about this story last week involving it's Brookhaven Academy, correct?
And Lamar.
And Lamar. And again, the incident that happened, it was originally thought it was a Brookhaven Academy coach shoved one of the Lamar players. It was Lamar's quarterback, correct?
Correct.
The quarterback then reacted, threw a football at him, got thrown out of the game, which, again, not a fan of the way that was handled, but it is what it is, and Lamar still went on to win that game. But now, Guru, you've got a little bit more information on what's going to happen to the player that initially shoved the quarterback.
Yeah, we talked about this last week and about how, there's been times not only in private school sector, but also with the beloved MHSAA and their wonderful decisions or lack thereof by both entities. It's about damn time somebody stepped up and did something that was the right thing to do. They showed the cojones, and I applaud the Mid-South Association of Independent Schools for addressing this matter. They released a statement earlier. The Affairs Committee met on December 1st, 2025, in regards to the fight that took place during the Class 4A Division III championship game between Brookhaven Academy and Lamar School. The committee received reports from both schools and also watched videos from multiple camera angles from the game. In addition, the committee heard from both administrators regarding the issue. After discussion, all of the information available to them, the committee leveled the following sanctions. The injured Brookhaven player that was on the sideline dressed in a blue shirt is banned from attending any further MAIS athletic contest for the remainder of this school year. In addition, he will not be allowed to play in any football jamborees and or games until after Brookhaven plays their first regular season game of the 2026 season. It is noted that in addition to making first contact with the opposing player as he came off the field, he also made an attempt to incite the crowd after that event occurred. Number 2, Coach Hunter, his last name is spelled P-R-Z-Y-T-R-T-A-R-S-K. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Coach P.
Coach Hunter P. and Coach Bubba King. Thank you, Bubba, for having an easy name. Sorry about the fines you're about to get. Have been fined $1,000 each and will not be allowed to attend any MAIS athletic events until after the last game. And notice what that said, any MAIS events until the last game of the 2026 Brookhaven football season has been played. They must appear before the association and show the committee cause as to why they should be allowed to return to coaching in our association. It is noted that both coaches made aggressive and forceful contact with a student athlete from the opposing team. Brookhaven Academy is placed on probation for a period of 1 year and has been fined $1,500. Lamar School is placed on probation for a period of 1 year and is fined $500.
Wow, that's awesome to see an actual response. You know, it's something we asked for last week, so that's why I'm glad that we got something. Kevin, what's your thought?
Yeah, did they give any explanation on why they fined Lamar?
Yeah, I was curious on that.
No, that's the verbatim, the way the statement was released. I'm going to assume it's from, and apparently there was more video footage than the one that we watched, because I never saw that part where they were talking about that Brookhaven player tried to incite the crowd afterwards. So apparently they got a hold of more videos. But I would say that just because, Kevin, in something like that, you think about it in the terms of a regular football game, right? I hit you really hard, knock you to the ground, stand over, you might talk a little trash. Mm-hmm. Referee didn't really see that. You stand up and you shove me in retaliation and you get flagged, which is kind of what happened initially. And so I think because of the fact that there was retaliation by Lamar's quarterback, I see where you're coming from. Why would they get fined? I mean, I don't know what their rules are. Maybe there's something in there for that. But to me, I mean, that was I'm almost positive the second quarter is when it happened. Mm-hmm. He had to sit out the rest of the game. I thought that would be punishment enough.
But. Yeah. But like you said, there's more video than we saw. Maybe there's something they did that
maybe another players or something from Lamar came over. But I mean, to me, and then I'll throw it back to you after I say this. I mean, I think it was the absolute right decision. And just to reiterate, kudos to the MAIS and the association for levying these fines and penalties.
Absolutely. And I'm happy to see a strong response. I'm happy to see these coaches being punished. I'm happy that the player is getting a hefty punishment as well. Because again, it's going to teach you that you can't do these type of things. You cannot, in an athletic setting, try to incite the crowd, push an opposing player to the ground. I'm glad that he wasn't able to just get away with it like it looked like he was. And again, if the coaches did more that we didn't see on video, hey, I'm happy to see them get slapped as well. Kevin, is there any final word you want on this one?
Yeah, I think that it's proactive. I think that's the biggest thing in the one word sentence is what I can think of as being proactive. There was the deal of we didn't hear from Brookhaven Academy and all that after Blake reached out to them and things like that. But it's good to see the MAIS is stepping up and saying, hey, here's what's going to happen. We're not going to let this stand. So, yeah, even though I probably don't agree as much with the probation period for Lamar, if you're going to do anything, maybe put the kid on probation unless, obviously what y'all said, Lamar done something, maybe. But I think that it's fantastic, and I think that they have to sit down. I think the one thing that I agree with too is they have to have a clause of like why should you be back coaching after a year? It's not just you sit out a year and you go coach in MHSAA for a year, or whatever, and come back and you're all good. I think that it's good that they got to come back and explain, hey, this is why I deserve to be back on the field.
Amen. Well, before we get to our recaps, I don't want to spend a lot of time, but it's another topic we talked about last week. So I'm going to give Guru one small segment to gloat that his beloved LSU Tigers hired Lane Kiffin.
Well, if anybody that watched this last week, if you recall, my prediction was that he was going to stay at Ole Miss because at the time I you know, it was just a cloud of uncertainty that surrounded the whole thing. Kevin said he was going to LSU, and Jack, just to not be biased or just to throw the other option out there because the news hadn't broke yet, but he said Florida. Well, Florida pulled out Tuesday, Monday or
probably
Tuesday.
April.
Yeah. It was right after we recorded.
Yeah. And, but yes, I'm absolutely excited about it. And I don't know how far I want to go. I mean, read my column in Wednesday's paper.
Let's keep it short and sweet.
I mean, you can read it online, or you can go to the nearest Dollar General or wherever you see a Laurel Leader Call newspaper machine and pick it up. It's only 75 cents, and there's a hell of a lot more great information than just my one column. But a great hire by LSU, and I'll just leave it at that.
And I'm going to make that the fun, because I want no more. I'm sick of Lane Kiffin.
I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna tell you what. He came, and I'm grateful that he is. But Jack. I totally agree.
I knew you did.
Sick and tired of hearing about it. It's done. It's over. Let's move on. I mean,
Exactly.
We got the freaking CFP right around the corner.
That's why I wanted to give you the one word, and we'll just move on from that train, as they like to call it. But I will let Kevin say something about his team hiring a new coach. Are you happy with Auburn's hire?
Yeah, I was actually stunned. I was walking into the church house Sunday whenever I saw it and gave a good shout. Like I'm thrilled that we got him, but I'm super excited that we retained DJ Durkin. That's the big thing. It was confirmed that we retained him. Of course, we had the safety flip, 5-star flip, but man, it's just huge that we retained Durkin in that situation, because there was a lot of smoke that he was headed to Mississippi State, and really big deal there. Excited, but with the Kiffin stuff, I just want to give a shout out to Marty Smith. That dude is a dog. He is my favorite journalist, and probably not just ESPN, just across the board. I've followed him ever since he was covering NASCAR back in the early 2000s, and he deserves all the credit in the world for staying and doing his thing.
That dude was a trooper.
If you have not watched his interview on Pat McAfee yet, where he talks about having to drive around the world and through fields to get to the airport to interview, do so.
And also a shout out to the podcast, Marty and McGee. If you haven't ever tuned into that, that's worth a listen as well.
Now let's get into our recaps, and we're gonna talk a little bit about some of the college games, because we did have two significant college games as well: the Egg Bowl and Southern Miss's failed attempt to get into the Sun Belt Championship game. We'll start with, even though the Egg Bowl was played first, we'll start with the Southern Miss game, because it left all of us frustrated. It's sad. For one, it's sad that Southern had a home game shot.
Multiple shots, Jack.
Multiple shots. But I'm just talking about the one particular game. You're at home. You win, you're in, and the fans, again, don't show up. I know it's right after Thanksgiving, but again, there's no excuse for it. It's sad. And ultimately, you don't deserve to be in the championship game, because your fans didn't show up. The team, I know they were battling a couple of injuries, and there were some question marks that I think we raised about that defense, because they were giving up a ton of yards, but were able to get that turnover in the red zone and keep teams out. When those turnovers went away, that's when the losing began. You can't, if you live by the turnover, you're going to die by the turnover.
Well, I mean, that was one of the key stats coming into the game. Troy on the year had given the ball up as many times as they'd taken it away, and Southern Miss was one of the top 10. They were at plus 12 on the year. That means coming into the game, they were gaining at least one turnover, more than one turnover per game coming in. And I mean, I definitely do not put this on Coach Charles Huff. I mean, I think he did a phenomenal job. I mean, we're talking about a freaking team that was 1-11 last year. 1-11. Yeah. 7-5 is, a real good finish. But they were 7-2 coming to down the stretch. Then you inexplicably lose to Texas State, who at the time I believe was 3-6.
They were.
They have gone on. Texas State did win their last 3 of the year and finished the year 6-6, and will be going to a bowl. And look at there, boys. Look right there. We nailed that. You see that?
I thought you were right.
LLC predicts 7-5 for the Golden Herd, and that's what happened. Anywho, so we all thought, or at least I thought, after the Texas State loss, after the loss to South Alabama, all right, we're going to circle the wagons. We're playing at home. All we have to do is beat Troy, and then we go to the Sun Belt title game, and
Didn't happen.
it just didn't happen. Kevin?
Yeah, just like I said, it's synonymous. Southern Miss athletics. I'm probably going to tick off a lot of fans here, but it's just been synonymous. You get to where you need to be, put yourself in a position, and you just pee down your leg, man. And it's
Just like baseball.
I hate this. I hate to say it, but it's the truth. Whether it's baseball and you get to host a regional, and you get to the super regionals and all this to be able to host, and whether it's basketball, you get into the NCAA tournament. Several years ago,
Yeah, that's been a minute.
yeah, that's been a long. That's been a while, but still, you get there and you have a favorable matchup, and just like with football, you get there and you just pee all down your leg. And look, there's players there that I covered in high school ball, but hey, the truth is the truth, and that's what happened.
The hope is that because we've seen the culture change. As you said. Let's give Charles Huff the credit. I was jokingly last week referred to him as he became Charles Hall. He did not. There were a lot of injuries on that team. I think he has changed the culture. If he is back next year, which I think he will be, but
Yeah, he'll be.
there is a question
I think he
mark.
will be, but there's some schools out there.
Memphis is
We've heard Memphis. I don't think Tulane's hired anybody just yet. I know they're looking at LSU's defensive coordinator. Then there's
Penn
some other,
State's out there.
huh?
Penn State's
Penn State's not hiring.
They may not have a choice at some point.
That's fair.
That's what I was alluding to.
I mean, and I believe the Kennesaw State job's about to come open. I think their coach is going elsewhere. I don't know if North Texas has fulfilled their vacancy either. There's going to be some opportunities that come his way, at least for interviews. Yeah. Whether the schools that still are searching for coaches end up picking Huff, we'll wait and see. But I kind of agree that even though he took a 1-11 program, turned them around to 7-5, I think he'll be back in Hattiesburg for at least one more year.
And I'll say this: if he leaves this year, next year, 3 years from now, Southern Miss fans can look at those empty stands and they can point to that and say that's why you can't hold on to anybody. Because again, he can change the culture, but the fans have to show up and be a part of it, or else it will never matter. And I'm afraid it'll never matter anyway.
And we could see statistics for what ticket sales were for a game, and you say that the tickets or the attendance for the Troy game last Saturday was over 25,000. I can also watch TV and tell you, somebody that's been in that stadium multiple times, all of us have, there was maybe half of that number in the stands on Saturday. Yeah.
And if you've sat in the press box, you know that the media there laughs when they announce the attendance because it's usually inflated, and stop doing that, Southern. Stop doing that. Now let's switch gears to the big game in the state, which was the Egg Bowl. Went predictably the way we expected. Ole Miss rolled in that one, finishing a historic season on a strong note. Unfortunately, they did not get the help from Kevin's beloved Auburn Tigers that they needed to get to the SEC championship game. But it was a solid, strong performance for Ole Miss. State, of course, they finally went to your boy at quarterback, and he looked good out there.
He did look good. Unfortunately, the defense didn't.
Defense didn't, and obviously, when you're facing an offensive juggernaut like that, you have to match them toe to toe. And unfortunately, they just weren't able to do that. And it became an easier win for Ole Miss than I think any of us that are non-fans of either team wanted, because we wanted a competitive game.
Correct.
But we expected not to get one. What's your takeaway on the Egg Bowl, Guru?
Well, State played well in the first half. The game was still there for them. There was a few mistakes made, but then you can see, even though it's a rivalry game, and we had a few semi-major upsets across the country this past weekend involving rivalry matchups, but Ole Miss overall was the better team. I mean, they have better athletes. They had more guys to make big plays. And, the biggest thing to take away from that is, Lane Kiffin was the mastermind behind this 11-1 season. He's the one that is the reason that they're going to be I would almost say 99.9% sure that they'll be hosting a first-round playoff game in a little more than 2 weeks from now, and that's huge. It's, arguably one of the biggest sporting events in Magnolia State history. And it was, I think you hit it right. I think it ended up the way we all thought it would, not the way we wanted it to.
All right, Kevin, what's your takeaway from the Egg Bowl?
Just same old story. Defense. I know a lot of my friends who are State fans they're ready to let the defense coordinator go and kick rocks, and they were hoping for Durkin whenever we hired who we did. And but I think the future's bright. Yeah, if you're looking at it from this week, Ole Miss fans are in shambles for the most part. They're trying to spin it because of Pete Golding, but I've seen the 7 stages of grief throughout a lot of Ole Miss Nation the past week and a half. And, you got a 5-star safety that you flipped. You started your future at quarterback, who looks really good. He looks the part. He probably would be playing in a bowl game if he had started earlier this year.
Yep.
I stand by that. And you just got to hope that Levy will start making those decisions sooner and stop being so apprehensive if he needs to make a change to make it.
I think you hit that nail on the head. I think he learned that because, we were optimistic that KT would get to start in the Egg Bowl, and ultimately, when we found out that he was, we were actually kind of surprised
and excited.
Yeah, absolutely. But those people out there that are calling for Levy's job, shut up. I mean, you were 2-10 last year. You were 1 win away, and you had multiple chances to get that 6th win to go to a bowl game. That ain't nothing.
No.
That's a huge improvement. I mean, you play in the SEC. Right now, you are in, the bottom quadrant of the 16 teams that we have. He's going to turn it around. I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, you can point back to the Florida game. You can point back to the Texas game, yada, yada, yada. Point is progress. Because just think, only won 2 games last year.
Yep.
We upped it to 5 this year.
Yep.
What happens if we increase it by 3 next year?
Yeah.
8-4 in the SEC?
Yeah.
I mean,
got to get a home playoff or got to get a home SEC win. I will say that. You got to get a home SEC win.
You got to get more than one SEC win.
Well, Jack, it's been over 2,000 days since they've won an SEC game at home. And I think that's one thing that's weighing on fans is they're showing up. Yeah. They're doing what
we say Southern should.
Yeah, exactly. They're doing the opposite of what Southern Miss is doing, and they're losing. And that is, I'll give it to Mississippi State. They have been very, very faithful through very hard times. And you go up there and it's the same thing. You're going to get a good environment. I mean, there's a reason why Barstool came to Mississippi State for Georgia, knowing how that game was probably still going to go. So the environment's there. And you got to remember, Levy, this is his first head coaching job too. He's got to learn. He's got to grow. So, but yeah, I think next year your focus should be let's get a bowl game and let's get an SEC win at home.
And I want to hit on one more thing because we talked about attendance at Southern Miss, and Oh my God. The amount of powder blue in Davis Wade Stadium on Friday
was there.
was absolutely putrid to see. What's even worse, guys, and I've already told you this, but a lot of those seats were in the faculty section for Mississippi State. So Mississippi State faculty not willing to go out and support their student athletes and try to cheer them on to a victory in what is their biggest game of the year every year, and then turn around and sell those tickets to Ole Miss fans? A joke. And it's great that the administration at Mississippi State is going to force those faculty members to contribute to the Bulldog Athletic Fund. I don't know if that's the exact name. You get what I'm saying. But in order to maintain those tickets, they're going to have to pony up more money. And they should give it a no clause, or a clause that they are not allowed to at least sell those tickets through online means. If they want to make a in-person transaction that you do through Facebook or social medias, I'm fine with that. But I mean, come on, that's pathetic.
I agree, and kudos to Ole Miss fans for trying to find a way in and
Absolutely.
support their team. This is not a knock on Ole Miss fans taking advantage of the opportunity, but it is the faculty. They should not be in that situation where they're selling their teams to their rival. And you can make the argument, oh, well, they didn't know who was person. They had a good idea because Ole Miss had a whole campaign to paint Davis Wade blue. So you knew that was an effort they were making. The faculty saw an opportunity because Ole Miss fans got big pockets, so they were willing to spend a little bit more, I'm sure. But yeah, I think Mississippi State owes it to their team, to those student athletes, to maybe make it a little bit harder for faculty to sell. Kevin, you want to add anything to it before we move on?
No, I agree with you.
Let's get to our high school preview game or our high school recap games first. We normally do that first, but I wanted to get all the college stuff and the news out of the way. The game that Kevin and I were at, Mize at Heidelberg, for one half, it was a really good game. Mize, I think, Kevin, you described it as played the best game of keep away that you had seen because they had a ground control offense. They were keeping that explosive Heidelberg Oler offense off the field with the way that they were just grinding it out, and they kept it close. But then the second half, Heidelberg made some defensive adjustments, and it was just too much for the Mize Bulldogs in the end of the day. A great, again, praise to Mize for the way that they were able to hang with them for a half. And it made it very interesting for us, Kevin, because you and I going into the half are like, this game could, because you know how it goes. If an underdog starts to believe, they become a real threat to the upset.
Yeah, I agree with you to a point. Mize played a heck of a game, and I'm not. Whenever I say what I'm about to say, I'm not taking anything away from them. Coach Maddox, I've have a relationship with him and been able to talk with him over the past few years. He's a great guy, and their kids are great. But this was inevitable.
Yeah,
this is the best way that I can put it. Heidelberg is just, once they start getting a little bit of confidence and things, the momentum goes, they just snatch it. This is just what they do.
Yeah.
They have probably one of the best mentalities I've seen in a small ball football team, where nothing seems to get to them. And it starts with their coaching. It starts with Coach Carter, and it just trickles down. Mize played the best game of keep away. I don't know if you noticed what they were doing in the backfield. Their quarterback was going up and under, doing everything that he could do to try to throw them off and try to throw. And that's what Coach Carter talked about, is they were just hitting the wrong gaps, and credit to their quarterback for confusing the defense like that. There was one play where I noticed he goes above the fullback's head, turns around, acts like he's on a Statue of Liberty to the wing back, and you have another wide receiver coming around, and it goes to that wide receiver, and he tucks the ball like back behind him. I mean, you can't do much better than that, and that's going to confuse any defense because they just flat out don't know where the ball is at. And combine that with playing keep away, they managed to stop Heidelberg a couple of drives there in the first half, but once Heidelberg figured it out, it was all gas, no brakes.
Absolutely. I mean, that offense is really impressive. I know they didn't hit the 50-point mark like they had been. Josh, who is our points winner? Because I know it's not me. I stuck with 66. But who was our points winner from last week?
Well, Heidelberg scored 46. Like you said, you picked 66. Kevin picked 56. And old Guru picked 48.
Wow, you were right on it.
Guru's the winner this time. We'll get to how many points we think they'll score in the state championship game here in a minute. But first, Guru has to tell us about the game that he was at. Unfortunately, our Laurel Golden Tornadoes fell at Old Brook. Josh, what happened? Tell us what you saw in this game.
It was just inconsistency on offense, unfortunately, just at the most inopportune time of the season for Laurel. Laurel got the ball to start, ended up somewhere around midfield, threw an interception. Wasn't a bad pass, just got away from Bivens a little bit. Old Brook picked it off, was able to then turn around, go down, score, go up 7-0. Ensuing kickoff, Laurel gets it, gets a little bit of momentum. They cross midfield. Then one of their young running backs who we really hadn't seen much this year, Caden White, rips off a 39-yard touchdown run at 7-6. Mishandled the PAT, and it was no good. But, I mean, you get a good feeling. A couple more scores by Old Brook there in the first half, and they're up 17-6. Laurel's kind of struggling moving the ball, but you're still right in it. It's an 11-point game, but then you have the backbreaker. Laurel's around the Old Brook. We're somewhere in between the 30-35. Bivens tries to fit one in to Zachariah Jenkins in the front left corner of the end zone. Unfortunately, he's double covered. And guys, I'm going to tell you, and Kevin's approximately 8 to 10 feet away from me. I was maybe 2 feet further away from where this play happened than where he is right now. The kid for Brookhaven made one heck of a play. He goes up, one hands the interception, comes down inbounds at the 2-yard line, and then just hauls tail up the Laurel sideline, takes it back 98 yards for a pick six. And this is with a half minute to go in the first half. And that is really, really what broke Laurel because, I mean, it was cold. It was windy. I mean, the temp was 39-34, but it felt like, 30-31 with the wind chill. I'm sure you guys are more than aware.
Yeah.
And they just couldn't get anything going offensively in the second half. Old Brook tacked on pretty much a meaningless touchdown there in the second half. But that interception, is what did Laurel in. And unfortunately, after the game, I waited around for Coach Ernest because him and his players immediately pretty much just left the field and went to the locker room. And, when I watch Zachariah Jenkins, Tamaj Harris, and I can't remember the boys for the Ward player, 31, the linebacker. You remember his first name? He's another senior. But being over there and they're being consoled by parents, friends, loved ones, and these three guys are just bawling their eyes out. Number one, that shows me how much it still means to some kids.
Yeah.
And for me, when I played, I was the same way. And, it almost made me tear up. So I just basically kind of just turned my back to it. And Coach Ernest had already gone in the locker room, and I gave him his time. I stayed for an extra 20 minutes to wait and finally made my way in the locker room. But it all goes back talking about that play and that interception there at the end where Laurel could have scored. And instead of being down 24-6 at halftime, it could be a 17-13 game. And he said in practice all week, man. He said all week. We ran that play, and we knew how Brookhaven was going to cover it. And he always hit his check down. Mm-hmm. Always hit his check down. He said, in the heat of battle, you never know what's going to happen. But I just wasn't meant to be, I guess. It was a heck of a run, and it's just deflating for it to end. I know we have 2 area teams, and we will be cheering both of you on, and it just sucks when the season actually ends for our 4 schools in Jones County, and not just in football, but when it culminates when none of them are able to reach the top of the mountain. But I think we're going to have one to do that in another sport later in early 2026.
Well,
Spoiler.
We'll talk about that in the coming weeks. Great breakdown. And again, kudos to Laurel for coming back after starting the season 0-6, rallying off those 6 straight wins. We all wanted, even Kevin, who trolled them last week with his pick. Yeah, he may have picked Brookhaven, but he was rooting for Laurel through and through. We all were. And it just, unfortunately, sometimes it strikes midnight on Cinderella, and that's what happened last week. It's time to get into our previews of these games that featuring our teams in our area that are there. That's all we're going to preview before we get to the picks. We're going to start with Raleigh versus Noxubee County. This is Guru. Didn't you do the preview on this particular game, or did Kevin?
I did, kind sir.
Tell us a little bit about what to expect in this matchup.
Well, it's kind of ironic. We talk about Camario Taylor, the starting quarterback for Mississippi State. His younger brother is the starting quarterback for Noxubee County. He's a dual threat. He's, I think, total over 3,000 total yards passing, rushing. He can beat you with his legs. He can beat you with the passing game. They're a type of team that you kind of. I know Coach Higdon and Riley, and especially the coaching staff, has watched as many hours of video footage, and I'm not saying tape like people used to say it.
Yeah.
I try to refuse from doing that. It's so funny. I'm going to get right back on topic, but I heard Jackson Dart being interviewed after the Giants game this weekend, and he referred to go back and watch my tape when I was in high school, and bro, nobody's been on tape in quite some time.
We got that last week from Coach Ernest about reviewing tape, so we know.
But yeah, but Higdon, I'm trying to find the Taylor kid's first name. Let's see right here. Well, not Taylor. Jakeem Goodwin is the quarterback. 1,647 passing yards, 1,073 rushing yards, 22 total scores. However, Jaden Taylor, who's Camario Taylor's younger brother, is the guy he says that they have to focus on the most and have to know he's two-way. He'll get under center instead of Goodwin at quarterback, and he'll pass it or he'll run. He's one of their top receiving threats. He can beat you in the return game, and he is also a free safety that Higdon said is just all over the field when they're on defense, and that is the player that they have to know wherever he is every time he steps on the field, whether he lines up at quarterback, whether he's returning a punt, whether he's sneaking up into the box on defense. He's the guy that they got to keep an eye on. And as far as Raleigh goes, they opened the season with a loss at D'Iberville in a fairly close game, and they're on a 13-game winning streak. Coach Higdon said, this is going to sound kind of odd, and which to me it really doesn't. He said, but despite the fact that we've won 13 in a row, I feel like we're just now hitting our stride here at the back end of the season. And the point he was trying to make is, even though they've won 13 in a row, they didn't play Riley Lion, Coach Higdon coached football every game for 48 minutes throughout that entire 13 game run. But over the last basically the past month, he feels like they've finally got that momentum. And I'm tell you what, I mean, we're going to get to all 7 of the state championship games, but this one has all the makings to be what you could dub an instant classic.
Kevin, you wrote the preview on Heidelberg versus East Webster. Only thing I'll say before I throw to you is just I was really impressed with what I saw last week. My first time experiencing Heidelberg's offensive juggernaut, even how well they looked on defense. Kevin, what was your takeaway from your preview of this game?
I know I'm just sounding like I'm glazing these kids, but it's just the truth. I feel bad for East Webster. They're going to have to do what Mize did. They're going to have to play keep away. Now, I will say this: I think they're built for it. They have 2 quarterbacks that apparently, from what I see from Max Preps, they've combined for over 3,000 yards passing on the year.
And they're pretty even stat-wise, aren't they?
One's at 1,600 and a few yards, and the other's at 1,400. Both have thrown for 19 touchdowns apiece. They've got a running back who's near the 1,000-yard mark. They've got a receiver who's doing the same. I mean, they're a good offensive team, and they have had, I think it was 5 consecutive shutouts throughout the season. You know, they did have who I thought would be representing or close to representing the 2A again, which was Charleston. They beat them 61-40, if I'm not mistaken. So that kept Charleston from going back to back to back in state championship appearances. But Heidelberg is just built for it, man. And kind of like you said, Guru, they're playing Heidelberg football at this point of the year. You know, we all know what's happened to them the middle of the year. We know the tragedy that happened. We know that there were teams who forfeited and they had to scramble to get a game and so forth. And these kids are so resilient. And, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see, you know, East Webster's going to give them the toughest competition they've had all year, in my opinion.
I hope it's going to be a good game. And Kevin, you're going to cover these games, aren't you?
Yeah, I'll be there for Raleigh, and then I'll turn right back around and cover Heidelberg and East Webster.
I look forward to hearing from Kevin. You know, maybe we'll get some live updates live from the sidelines from Kevin. So be sure these games are Saturday, correct?
Yeah.
So be sure
the Raleigh game kicks off at noon, and then you have Heidelberg and East Webster at 3:30.
So be sure to be watching the Leader Call Sports Facebook page. Not saying Kevin will, it just depends on, you know, cell service probably on what he's going to. But Kevin may be giving you some live updates from the stadium. So make it a point to check out our Leader Call Sports Facebook page. Now's the fun time. It's time to get into picks. You know, I know we normally have a wild card question, but I think because of everything else that we've covered this week, we'll save wild card for next week and no wild card this week.
I don't know if you got one. I think we can go with one between college and high school.
Okay. Well, here's a simple.
I mean, I don't think.
Here's a simple one. This high school football season's been a lot of fun. It's not over for 2 of our area schools, but it's over for our county schools. What was, in your coverage this year, what was your top moment this year? For me, it's obvious. It was covering my first ever little round jug game. I mean, that was just that was fun, you know. So that would be the game that I would say my top moment on the year. I had never experienced the jug before then, so it was fun to get to experience the jug for the first time. I know I already knew it was a rivalry, but I know that game helped make a certain coach in Hattiesburg understand it's a rivalry too. So a great experience. You guys didn't undersell it at all, but I don't think that anybody can fully explain what it's like until you get there. So that would be mine. Kevin, I'll go to you next. What was your top moment in coverage this year?
Man, I can't help but go back to week 1, Northeast Jones and South Jones. Just the environment, man. Just trying to find a parking spot. seeing other coaches there, just not even to scout. They were just there to watch the game. Like, I mean, there was a couple on the sidelines. Dan Brady was there, and a couple more were on the sidelines just to watch the game. And then it comes down to the very last drive for South Jones to edge Northeast, and man, then the rain happens. We right as the game is ending, the rain hits. There's that one, and there's a bunch. I really think the environment, South Jones and Summerall, was really cool. That was the first time that I stepped on South Jones's field since I had been back in like 2 years. And just the environment there, the Bullet Club flag waving through the lights and things like that. It was just really cool, and it really made me realize how much Casey Harrington has really done, what he's done for that program. I know we can kind of look and see what Corey Reynolds did for the program at South and getting them to a playoff game, but it seems like that Casey is just built off of that and elevating it more.
Guru, what's your top moment?
Dude, it's simple, and if you
I
don't
already know which one you're going to.
It was the night on the reservation, South Jones, West Jones, being in the right moment at the right time. The blind squirrel found the nut. A video that got well over 100,000 views. I don't know what it's at today, but Anquan Jackson in the waning moments of the game, scoring the game-winning touchdown for South Jones to pick up a win in what has become the biggest rivalry in almost every sport in Jones County. And it's guys, it's funny how that South Jones, West Jones over the last decade has become such a rivalry in nearly every sport. And it's just a big change from the way things used to be. But that game is what sticks out number one. I will go with one more. And because I mainly was at every South Jones game, the most shocking moment of the year to me was the night they went to Summit with a 7-0 record, overlooked 0-7 North Pike, and did not reach the end zone and got beat 21-5. And that was the game that derailed the rest of their season. And, it's high school football.
Yeah,
any given night.
I guess, Kevin, do you have a shocking moment to top out of your coverage? Anything you want to add, since he added one to it?
He did too.
Yeah.
No, but shocking's different than favorite.
I really didn't have a shocking moment. I think the most emotional game was the Laurel Stone game. How it looked like that Laurel was about to be upset. Stone gets the interception, drives it back, ties the game, and then Laurel's forced to punt. And they get roughing the kicker, roughing the punter call, and it keeps the drive alive. And then Geronimo happens. Yeah,
That's awesome.
Really, really cool moment. That was an emotional game if you're watching it from the sidelines.
I guess my shocking moment would be West losing to Hancock in the first round, because I really
Little Tebow.
I thought that Baby Tebow was. I saw he was going to be, but I thought West was going to have enough for him. Unfortunately, that night, it just wasn't their night. And you talked about the sorrow, seeing sad kids at the end of and that just breaks your heart. No matter where you grew up, if you're covering these kids week in, week out, you grow an attachment to each and every single one of them. And none of us enjoy seeing these kids, especially the seniors, that it's their last shot.
Makes you not want to write about it.
It does at times, but we have to.
Yeah, that's what you got to do as a sports guy.
Well, let's jump into
the good, the bad, and the ugly.
That's fair. Let's jump into these college championship game picks. And again, we're going to go through all of the conference championship games. So we're going to be going through some that we know backwards and we're going to probably talk about some that we don't know as much about. Yeah. And I think this first one's one of the ones that I haven't followed CUSA pretty much since Southern Miss left CUSA. if I'm honest, I probably stopped following CUSA even before they left because they were irrelevant. But you've got the CSA championship, which is Kennesaw State at Jacksonville State. Kennesaw State, this is what, their second year in the higher level, second or third year?
Third.
I mean, so
Third, because they wouldn't be eligible for the conference championship game in the first 2 years. It's their third year, and
it's impressive that they've moved up. I know it's a weaker conference, but still to be able to be the competitive team that they are, it's impressive. Jacksonville State, they were able to maintain success despite losing Rich Rod last year as he went back to West Virginia. They're the team with experience in the championship game. They're the team that's hosting the championship game. I'm going with Jacksonville State. Give me the Gamecocks in this one.
Jacksonville State, I just learned they were the Gamecocks. Just breaking news just a few seconds ago. Great reporting from Jack Fairchilds. I'm picking Jacksonville State.
I actually lived in Kennesaw for a few years in the early 2000s. I was less than a mile away from Kennesaw State University that time. No, they didn't even have a football program. They're the Owls. They were a perennial, really, really strong baseball team in D2 before they moved up to D1, then which was 1AA, and then, like Jack said, 3 years ago, they moved up to play with the big boys. I have watched them a couple of times this year, and it's kind of sentimental for me. I like what I've seen when I've watched them play, and because I lived there, I'm going to go with Kennesaw.
Fair enough.
Who?
He went with Kennesaw.
Who?
Yeah. Next, we've got the Sun Belt Championship game, not featuring Southern Miss, unfortunately, as Troy is traveling to James Madison. James Madison feels like a team that's on a mission. They still have a very slim shot at making the playoff field. So it's definitely not out of the question. They're hosting the game as well. I think Troy gives them a fight, but I think James Madison goes ahead and takes care of business and wins the Sun Belt.
James Madison.
James Madison.
Next, we've got the American Championship game, North Texas at Tulane. Tulane, they're losing their coach, but he's coaching in this game. So give me the green wave. I think they take care of business, and I think they sneak into the playoffs with this win and then get throttled by whoever they play in the first round.
Give me the wave. Give me Tulane.
North Texas is the same situation. They lost their head coach. It'll be Eric Morris. He's moving on to Oklahoma State. Tulane's John Summerall will be the next head coach at Florida. Both schools new schools are letting these two coaches coach until they're done. The winner of this game will be the
Group of six
representative in the college football playoff, and that will be the Mean Green of North Texas.
Good. There we go. Not all of us agreeing on that one. Next, we've got the Mountain West Championship game, which features UNLV and our old friend Dan Mullen at Boise State. I'm going to go with Dan Mullen in this one. I'm going with the road team here. Give me UNLV.
I love the Broncos. I love the blue field, but they don't have Genty there anymore. Give me the Fighting Dan Mullins.
Yeah, this one was weird because it didn't even make our pick'em list in the newspaper because I don't know if you guys know it, but they ended up with a 5-way tie for who was going to play in this game, and they went to the MAIS and asked them how to formulate a tiebreaker system, and that's how they ended up with these two teams. Dan Mullen gets his first conference championship running Rebs.
Next, we get into the big boy conferences with is the Big 12 really a big boy anymore? But we got the Big 12. We've got BYU versus Texas Tech. This is a rematch. Texas Tech handled them decisively. Now it's on a neutral field. I still think the Red Raiders going to be too much for them. Give me Texas Tech.
Yeah, the Red Raiders are one of the best teams in the country. I really like BYU. I've talked about it with Bear and all that. But I legitimately believe that Texas Tech is one of the best teams in the country. top to bottom. I'm taking Tech.
Yeah, Alyssa and I were talking about the CFP Tuesday night before me and Jack ran the route to deliver papers, and she just blatantly asked me. She said, "Well, who's going to win the national title?" And I paused because I had a thought already, and she waited about 7-8 seconds. She was like, "Okay, never mind." And I was like, "No, I don't know if I want to say it because I don't know if I truly believe it, but I do think it." And that's the guns up. Jack, you want to down the Big 12? I'm telling you, Kevin is right. This Texas Tech team, and watch, they'll go lay an egg in the Big 12 championship game, but it won't cost them a playoff spot as long as they don't get beat by 712 points. But I am sold on Texas Tech. They're one of the best defenses in the country, despite Ohio State only having allowed 98 points on the year. Texas Tech has played much better offenses in the Big 12 than Ohio State has in the Big 10. And I think Texas Tech, unfortunately, whips up on BYU and eliminates BYU from any possibility of making the CFP.
Next, we've got the MAC championship.
Maction.
The MAC's really down this year from what I've read. So I really hadn't followed the MAC this year. So I have no clue, but I'm going to just go with Western Michigan and be done with it.
Give me the U, baby.
That's not the U. That's Miami.
There's a OH after that.
Give me the U of the O. Look at that. I just created y'all a new symbol.
Oh, I like that.
O.
I like that. But it's going to be Western Michigan. I'm like Jack. I don't know what the hell's going on.
The ACC, you talk about a conference that had a convoluted tiebreaker system. The fact that you've got Duke
they reached out to the Mountain West after the Mountain West reached out to the MAIS.
I mean, Virginia's been a team on a mission. They made that their goal. They want that conference championship. Duke could play a spoiler here. They're not a bad team, but I just don't see it. I think Virginia's that team on a mission. Give me Virginia here.
Nobody likes the Dukies. Nobody likes them. Give me Virginia.
I don't know what formula they did use, but I think it was stupid.
It was.
It's very stupid. You're about to cost one of your teams an opportunity to have a chance to play in the playoff, and it's probably your best team in the actual U, who's at 10-2, sitting on the outside looking in, and you're going to screw yourself because you're going to send Virginia to get the crap kicked out of them. Most likely, hell, I don't even know where, but they're going to beat Duke, because if Duke makes the playoff, Duke's definitely going to get the crap beat
Here's
out
what
of them.
they said. If Duke wins, they can actually leave the ACC champ out. I've read that somewhere because I thought that they were locked, but somebody was saying Duke could potentially be left out and they could fit another champion in, or another. I don't know if they can go at large or how they're going to do it, but there's a possibility Duke could be left out even if they do win it.
Did you read that on Facebook or something? Because that's
No,
absolutely not true.
I can't remember. It wasn't Facebook where I saw it, but if it's not
The
true,
champion of the SEC, the Big 10, the ACC, and the Big 12 are guaranteed a spot in the playoff.
why is the ACC even still a thing?
Well, you talk more trash about the Big 12. I mean,
I'm not a fan of either of them.
ACC is still a really legit basketball school, but
They are that. Yeah.
screw Duke.
Next, we've got the Big Ten championship game. This one is a difficult game to pick because you've got two undefeated teams. You've got Indiana, the team that wants to start a new legacy for themselves, and you've got the standard, Ohio State. The argument's there that Ohio State has had one of the softest schedules all season long, and there's an argument to be made. That's why this game is tough to pick. I'm going to go with to be the man, you got to beat the man until somebody does. I'm gonna roll with the Buckeyes, but I'm not confident in that pick.
Best team in the country is Indiana. They're winning this game.
Well, the crazy thing is, as long as this is not like one way or another, a 50-point whitewashing of the other one, both of these teams are going to finish in the top 4 of the college football playoff final rankings, and they're going to have a bye in the first round. It's crazy how it's worked out for both of them all season. I think one of the bigger factors that some people overlook is the fact that the Big Ten championship game is played in Indianapolis. And while I think there's a fine line, I mean, I think it's splitting hairs whether to say Indiana's number 1, Ohio State's number 1. I think Indiana has played a little bit tougher an overall schedule. That Ohio State defense is legit, but I think Indiana is going to be able to expose them just enough to eke out their first conference title, and since I guess probably when Jesus was born. Go Hoosiers.
You know, I hope y'all are right, because I'm not an Ohio State fan. Maybe I'm only picking them to jinx them, but, you know, we'll see. Now we're going to switch before we get to the SEC and get to the SWAC championship, because it features a Mississippi team, as we've got Prairie View A&M at Jackson State. Give me the Tigers. They're going to win the SWAC championship this year. They've been an impressive team all season. They're going to go ahead and put the cherry on top this weekend.
Give me Jackson State, baby.
Sonic boom. Probably the best part of this game will be the halftime show.
Absolutely.
Especially with the sonic boom all up in your ear. Now, I agree with you guys. Jackson State wins, and they get to play for the HBCU National Championship and the Celebration Bowl. Go Tigers.
Next, we've got the final college game we're picking this week. Of course, it is the SEC championship game, a rematch, Georgia versus Alabama. Another one of those games that you could flip a coin on and try to figure out. You know, Georgia, I think, is the better team, but Alabama has just found a way. Kirby Smart, they've been his kryptonite. So I'm going to stick with the Crimson Tide. I don't feel good about that pick, but I think Alabama sneaks by Georgia again.
This is the year. Alabama is the most vulnerable it's been. If Auburn could catch football, they would have taken Alabama out. But instead, they do Alabama solid, and they do Alabama solid, and just cough it up. Georgia wins this game. They get a bye. Alabama hopefully gets knocked out.
Yeah, I wasn't really impressed with the latest CFP rankings from Tuesday of this week, with Alabama jumping Notre Dame in the rankings. I think that's crap. If Alabama loses this game to get its third loss of the season, I do not think they deserve a playoff spot. I mean, we're all SEC people right here, okay? But we know that the winner of this game, especially if it's Georgia, is in. Ole Miss is in. Oklahoma's in. Texas A&M is in. If Alabama can't beat Georgia, they don't deserve to be in. And they won't beat Georgia. Go Dogs. Ho, ho.
There you go. Now let's get to our high school state championship game picks, and we're going to be going right down the order from 1A all the way to 7A in the way we pick these. And our first matchup is 12-1 Calhoun City versus Simmons, sitting at 12-0. Again, you've got two teams with incredible records, the two teams that have battled the most, who've put forth the best resumes, got there to the championship game. Give me Simmons to finish off the perfect season. I'm gonna go for the unblemished team here.
I'm gonna disagree with you. I do think this will be a really good game, and I try to tend to favor the South teams, but I think Simmons is a little bit vulnerable. I think that they've been exposed a little bit by Stringer and Taylorsville, and I think that Calhoun City is a very, very good team. Calhoun City barely gets by Simmons, but they win the championship.
Yeah, I agree. I think Simmons showed how vulnerable they really are. I mean, Taylorsville did make a heck of a run from after the first month of the season to get where they were, but Simmons was supposed to be sort of a kind of a juggernaut coming in, and with the way they sputtered offensively, I think Calhoun City gets it done in 1A and brings that title.
Next, we've got 2A. We've already talked about this one in our preview. East Webster sitting at 13-1 versus Heidelberg 12-2. there's no way I'm picking against Coach Carter in this one at all. Give me Heidelberg, and at the end of it, Guru will get our picks for what Heidelberg will score. Go ahead, Kevin.
Heidelberg goes back to back. I'm not going to say on this one long. They go back to back and bring home another title at East Jasper, Mississippi.
Make it unanimous here, Guru.
I mean, it's like Lil Wayne said, Mr. Carter, I am him. DC and the boys, them allers, boy, them allers. Them allers going to go up there, and East Webster, you don't know what's about to hit you in the mouth. Back-to-back state champions from East Jasper, the Heidelberg Oilers with the monkey mascot.
What's your all right, I guess we got to give our pick for how
Give me
many
your points, boys.
You know, I went 66 2 weeks in a row. 1 week it was good for me, and the next week it wasn't. I'm going to stay at 66.
I'm so sorry, guys.
Wake up, Kevin.
I'm trying, man. I'm struggling. I'm not going to go into 50. I'm not going to give them 50 this week. I'm going to give them 34-6.
I'm going to go 10 points above you. I already wrote it down. I'm going 44 this week.
Here you go. Everybody picks Heidelberg in that one. Next, we've got that Noxubee County at 11-3 versus Raleigh 13-1. You heard Guru break it down. This should be a fun, close game, but I think Raleigh gets it done. I think they're going to win this one.
This game a couple of years ago is a rematch of the last state championship in Southern Miss, and actually, funny enough, showed up in my memories that Lane Kiffin was down here watching Suntarine Perkins play, and he put up a heck of a performance. Rushed for right around 300 yards, I believe, and several touchdowns. With that said, I think that I'm going to pick against Raleigh. I think Noxubee County edges Raleigh, even though I picked Raleigh on my paper here.
Wow.
Villain moment. If I had the helmet, I would throw it on and take it off.
Wow.
I know.
Suntarine actually rushed for 331 yards in that 2022 state championship win over Noxubee County, who comes in seeking its 6th state championship overall. But Coach Ryan Higdon and that rushing attack be too much. Noxubee County, you're not going to be able to handle it. It might be close. It might come down to the end. But when J.J. McCullum gets that final chance, he's going to take the Lions and punch them in to steal one. 21-19 on the game's final play after trailing 19-15.
If that rings true, Kevin, you're getting to go to a hell of a game. Next, we've got the 4A state championship game. Kosciuszko sitting at 13-1, taking on undefeated Columbia at 14-0. Again, you know, you've got two teams that have the resume for sure. Tough matchup. I'm going to go with Columbia to finish off the perfect season.
Yeah, this is going to be bowl and shoe ugly. And what I mean by that is I don't expect a lot of points scored. I expect this to be hit you in the mouth repeatedly.
Be like rock'em, sock'em robots.
Yeah, I think that's just the way this game is going to go. If either team gets over 20 points, I'm going to be shocked. I'll be honest with you. I think Columbia, though, Coach Bilderback, he is made for that school. They'll probably put up a statue of him next to Walter Payton after he gets done at Columbia.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. If you want to watch a defensive game, this is your game because the next three coming up are definitely not going to be the defensive contest. But I do think Bilderback and Columbia, the Wildcats, take care of business. Go 15-0.
Next, we've got the 5A state championship with West Point at 13-0, trying to continue their dynasty, taking on Old Brook at 12-2. Old Brook's a tough team, but we've jokingly said that 5A looks like the race to lose to West Point in the state championship game. I don't think Old Brook's going to have the horses to keep up with West Point. Give me West Point in this one.
Jack, you know how many times West Point has been to the state championship in the past 10 years?
How many, Kevin?
10 times. They are on their way to their 10th consecutive state championship appearance. There's only been a couple of teams to knock them off. One being our homeboys, West Jones, and I believe it was Picayune beat them. I do not see Old Brook winning. That is no shade to Old Brook. They've had a great season. But them boys, when they're born, coach hands them a wing tee playbook instead of get to learning, and that's what they do. This reminds me of Sparta, where they are just grow up and you fight to the death through the wing tee. And if you survive, you get to play on the West Point football club. West Point wins this one.
Yeah, this is the best team in the state. You got Tupelo out of the north sitting there in 7A, 13-1 on the year. Who's that one lost to?
West Point.
West Point is about to take Old Brook out behind the woodshed. It's not going to be pretty. I'm taking West Point by 30.
Oh, we're doing that on this one now, huh?
How many they win by?
How many they win by? You go 30. I'll go 27.
You took mine. I'll split it. I'll go 28.
And a half.
Can't go half, so I'll go 28.
Next week will be fun. We got 2 now to look at. Next, we go to 6A, where we've got my alma mater, the Warren Central Vikings, at 11-2 versus the Hattiesburg Tigers, also 12-2. Or no, 12-2. Warren Central was 11-2. Again,
big rivalry game, Jack.
Big rivalry game. Well, I can actually, one of the best high school football games I've ever been to was a Warren Central at Hattiesburg game my senior year, where Warren Central was coming into the game they were supposed to handle Hattiesburg, and Hattiesburg jumped out on them big, and Warren Central came back, and it needed I think it was a 46 yard field goal as time expired to beat the Hattiesburg Tigers there in that game. Great game. So there's some history there, not a lot, but some. But again, this is a case of, I know Hattiesburg's really good. What I've read up on my alma mater, they're pretty good. I think this is going to be one of those fun matchups. I'm going to go with my heart in this one. 11 brothers are hard to beat. Give me the Vikings in this one to win the 6A state championship.
Yeah, I debated on this one too, and yeah, like you said, there's the connection with West Point and Warren Central's head coaches, and what they got going on at Warren Central is kind of what they're doing with West Point, right? With that said, though, we joke with Hattiesburg the entire year, and I'm gonna show head coach some love. I'm picking the Tigers to win this one.
I think if this game had a spread on it, I think it'd be a pick'em game. I think this is, like Jack said, it's a coin flip. It could go either way. I hope his alma mater wins, but the way Hattiesburg has looked, especially the last 6-7 weeks, they're rolling, and I think this is the time with a first year head coach, and Hattiesburg finally reaches the mountaintop and claims its first state championship, and the Tigers topple the Vikings.
And they were in it last year.
Correct.
So again, they've got that little bit of advantage, but yeah, sometimes you just got to pick with your heart in some games. Next, we've got the 7A championship game, the juggernaut, the 13-1 with the one loss being West Point, Tupelo, as they take on the Admirals at 11-2 of Gulfport. We've seen Gulfport play, Kevin. We were really impressed with their running back, and
Crosby just committed to state this morning.
Yep, that Gulfport team is pretty good. That Tupelo team has been incredible for the last couple of years. It's a question of who's going to want it more. I think Tupelo's going to be too tough for them. I want to pick Gulfport. I really do. I know they can win it. I think it's going to be a heck of a game, but give me Tupelo.
Same. I've said it all year. Tupelo's arguably the best team, save West Point in Mississippi. J.J. Hill and just the talent they have there. It's almost like it's a team of destiny. It's kind of like with Heidelberg, how I feel with them. Gulfport, great ball club. Much respect to them. I mean, Cooper Crosby, I'm going to be following his career. He really impressed me against
Big
Laurel.
time.
Yeah, he was so impressive, but I'm picking Tupelo in this one.
Kevin, you ignorant slut. No, all jokes aside, man, this I think it's another one that could go either way. My brother hates the city of Tupelo for reasons that I cannot disclose on this show. So therefore, in honor of my brother, go Admirals.
I like it.
Alma mater of one of the best 3-point shooters in LSU Fighting Tiger basketball history, Mahum
Chris
Abdul Rauf. Chris
Colin-
Jackson.
I was actually at when Gulfport won the state championship game with Chris Jackson on their team. I was at that one of those games. I don't know if they won more than one, but
I think it was only one. He was Steph Curry of the 3-point shot before Steph Curry.
like I know people that played against him, and if you know anything about him, he has Tourette's, so it gave him some involuntary jerking, and the folks said that made him harder to guard because he would involuntarily jerk, and you'd think he was making a move on you, and he wasn't, but you would fall for
He
it.
couldn't control it. Kind of like this show. It's out of control sometimes. Go everybody in the South.
Except for Hattiesburg. Go Warren Central. Go Vikings. Guys, this has been a lot of fun. Next week, we'll recap these championship games, talk a little bit more about what we're going to be doing once football season ends with the show, how we'll handle Christmas break and things like that. We'll get into some of that stuff next week. I'm your host, Jack Fairchilds, and for Kevan Lindsey and Josh Guru Nichols, we'll see you guys again next week.